All right, y'all. What we're going to talk about this week is that if you can change your perspective, you can change your life. So the thoughts that you take in your mind, if you can change the way that you look at situations, you can change your entire life. If you just be able to put the end in mind before you do anything in your life, if you have an end set up, you'll have a direction for you to start walking into. And we're gonna start off in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8. And it says here, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Jesus. But what I want y'all to see here is, in verse 8, it says, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. And I went and I looked up the definition for each of those words, and for troubled, it says afflicted. And for distressed, it says suffering affliction. So whenever you read it in that, translation, it says, we are afflicted on every side, yet not suffering affliction. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that doesn't really make sense to me whenever I read that. So you're telling me that you're afflicted, but you're not suffering affliction. Like, that don't make any sense. But whenever you read down and you keep going down into verse 17, it says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, works for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. So hold on, we need to read that verse again. It says, while we look not at the things which are seen. So the difference in being afflicted and not suffering affliction is the way that you look at it. It says, we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which we see are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. And that reminds me of if I'm getting ready to go on like a vacation, or if you're ready to get out of class, or ready to get out of work, you know that 5 minutes or that 10 minutes is winding down, and every time somebody goes to tell you something, it's just like, okay, I'm not even stressed out or worried about what you're saying, because I get out of this class in about 10 minutes. But if you were in the class all day long and they're talking to you, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get out of here. Or if you're at the job and the boss is always barking at you, like, man, I can't wait to get off. And then whenever it comes out of that 5 or 10 minute mark, you know it's temporary what they're saying to you. And you know in about 5 to 10 minutes, you're out of here. See, but in your mind, for you to be able to view it as that temporary, you had a vision in your mind whenever you were leaving work or whenever you were leaving school and you're getting ready to go to your house, you're about to kick your feet up, eat some Cheetos, and play NBA 2K or NFL or Madden, whatever it is. You're like, you know what? I've got this vision in my mind that I'm getting ready to leave the job, or I'm getting ready to leave the school, and whatever else is happening right now, I'm not even stressed out. I'm not even worried about it. So that's basically what he's saying here. He says, I can be afflicted, but not suffering affliction, and it's all based off how I look at it. And that reminds me of Jesus. Before he went to the cross, he goes and he says to the Father, he says, if it be your will, let this cup pass. And comes to find out, his will was for him to go to the cross. His will was for him to go and walk to the cross, carry his cross on his shoulder, and to be nailed onto the cross and be crucified. But if we go into Hebrews, we can see it takes us into the mind of Jesus. It takes us into how he actually went and was able to endure the cross. And it says that for the joy that was set before him, he was able to endure the cross. So he had the end in mind before he took the step. He had the end in mind before he went and did what he was going to do. So I say to you, what is it in your life that you have to put the end in mind first so that you can get through these light afflictions that you need to walk through to get to where you're going to? And then, so if we think about that, it's like, okay, well, what is your vision? What is your end in mind? Because really you've got two things. You've got two things, and it's either going to be kingdom or it's going to be worldly. So if you got vision, you've got kingdom, worldly, or you've got life, death. You've got happiness, unhappiness, or joy, unjoy, whatever it is. But there's two different things. And if you think about it like this, you see somebody who's depressed all the time, and you ask them, hey, you know, what's wrong? I see you, you know, walking around with your head down, you know, you're crying all the time, or you don't hang out with anybody, and then you start to ask some more deeper questions into what's going on in their life, and then, you know, you see the symptoms of them lashing out at their parents, or you see the symptoms of them, maybe they cut themselves, or you see the symptoms of them abusing alcohol, or they're addicted to drugs, and you see the symptoms of those things, but it's based off of the question that I'm about to ask you. What is your vision? What is your vision? Because whenever you go and you ask these people that are depressed and they feel like they can't get anywhere, you say, hey, what's wrong with you? And they usually say, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. You ask them, hey, what do you want to be in your life? They're like, I don't know. They don't really care where they're going to, so you're seeing that in their actions. When they're walking around with their head down, they don't care that they're going anywhere. So whenever you see somebody that's passionate, that are moving through things like Martin Luther King, he said, I have a dream. And he went through all these trials and these tribulations. He ended up in jail. He ended up in prison, but it wouldn't stop him from going to where he was trying to go to because he had a vision. He had a vision, and he had that birth down inside of his spirit. So I want to ask y'all today, what is your vision? What is it that you're running after? What is it that you have your mind set on? Because these little light afflictions, they won't mean anything if you have a far greater vision in your mind. So let's say you want to go to the NFL, or you want to go to the NBA. You want to be a hoop star. You know, you want to ride in the fancy cars. You want to pull up, tell your homeboy, hey, what's up, what's up? You come on, hop on in. But whenever I see you and I say, hey, what do you do on a daily basis? If you say, you know, I'm just chilling, I'm gonna say, is your vision really to get to the NBA? Because your actions should tell on where you're going. So if you want to be in the NBA, I should come to you and you should be working out all the time. You might not have some muscles right now, but you can get the muscles. It doesn't matter. But if you have the vision, you can start pursuing it. You can start going. You can start doing. And you're going to be working out. You're going to be shooting in the gym. Whenever it's snowing outside, you're going to be out there shooting free throws. I'm like, what is he doing? He's crazy. No, he ain't crazy. He's got vision. See, your circumstance can change. But your actions and what you do, that can still be based off of your vision, because you can have a vision to have a lot of money, but you might be broke at the moment. But that's okay, because you're working behind the scenes and people don't see you working. People don't see you saving, but you have a vision for yourself to be wealthy. You have a vision to see yourself in the NBA. You have a vision to see yourself as a CEO, but are you putting in the work to become the CEO? What are you doing in the present, in the meantime, in order for you to get to that end vision at the end? So that's what I want to ask y'all. What is your vision, and have you stepped out to start pursuing it? See, you can look at, you know, your daily life and what you're doing. You can see, you know, the persecution arise inside of your life. You can see the trials that are arising in your life. But, you know, if you have something that's greater on the inside of you, on where you're trying to get to, those little things are nothing but a light thing. It's nothing but a light thing so that you can go and you can pursue. You can go and you can do. But if you don't have a vision, you're going to be in one of these two categories. Kingdom, world, life, happiness, joy. Or you can step over here, you can be reactive. Or you can step over here, you can be proactive. What is it that you need to set in front of your mind? What is it that you need to set in front of you so that you can start pursuing it? So whenever we think about, you know, end in mind, the end in mind, you got to have a vision for your life. You have to have a vision, and I'm not trying to be insensitive about maybe you feel depressed and you feel like you don't have any hope, because I've been there before. I remember I was sitting on my front porch in Tennessee, and, you know, I was sad and I was, you know, down on myself and stuff like that. And I remember my mom coming outside and she's like, hey, what's wrong? And I began to tell her, you know, this and that, this and that. And she just looked at me. It was so profound. She said, if you don't like your life, change it. That's it. If you don't like the life that you're living, then you need to change it, period. And it says in Habakkuk 2, it says, And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that reads it. Everybody's going to the run. Just like the Olympics, everybody's going to run. Only one person's going to win. Okay, so that's the first part. That's the first part is if you can change your perspective, you can change your entire life. You can change your entire life. You can change people around you's life, because then it can no longer be about you, but it can be about other people, that you can live your life that somebody else will look at you and be like, man, that looks like Jesus. Man, that looks like such and such. Whatever it may be, if you can change your perspective, you can change your life. And the second point that I want to share is, firstly, you need to get a vision. And now if you don't have a vision and you're just going about your day, a daily walk and a daily routine, I would say to you, then whose vision are you paired with? Because if you're following somebody, chances are they're going after something, and it may be something that the world sold them. It may be something that the world told them that they need to do and what they need to be like. Or maybe it's like the money, the fame, the cars, the girls, and they've got that vision inside their mind, and they're gonna go after that vision. And if you're linked up with them, then guess what? You're following after the same thing. And if you're followed after the same thing, you're probably heading in the same direction. But nah, Chris, I got a vision for my life. I'm gonna do something great. Yeah, but you're walking around with this person over here and they don't wanna be great. They're walking after the money. They're walking after the cars. They're walking after the girls. They're walking after the fame. And if you're linked up with them, guess where your direction's headed? It says right here in 1 Corinthians 9, it says, don't you know that everybody runs a race, but only one's gonna receive the prize? So run that you'll obtain it. And every man that strives for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an uncorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight I, not as one that beats the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. So if he's on a race and he knows where he's going, if he has the end in mind that he's gonna get to a destination, if he has the end in mind that he's going to reach this destination, if he's gonna reach this goal, if he's gonna run and win this race, he has to bring his body into subjection. It's kind of like one time I seen this guy, he was just running around, I forget what it was. I don't think it was a track. It was just like this field, and he was just running around. He was doing weird like jumps and like just weird routines that I've never even seen before. I'm like looking, I'm like, what is this guy doing? And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and was like, you don't know what his vision is. You don't know what he's doing. You don't know where he's trying to get to, because if you knew what he was trying to get to, you would probably understand what his actions were in the meantime. See, a lot of people judge your life based off of what you're doing now, only because they don't know where your vision is. They say, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why don't you take a second and try to figure out what that person is trying to do in life, and then you won't be so quick to judge somebody when they're doing certain things. Oh, I could just go in all day with that, because there's certain circumstances that you may be in that people will look at it and point and they could judge. Just like Joseph, he had a dream from God. He had a dream from God, and then right after this, his brothers said, oh, he comes out to greet his brothers. And his brothers say, oh, here comes the dreamer. Here comes the dreamer. And you know what they do? They take him and they throw him in a pit. And then after that, you're like, you know what? We ain't gonna leave him in there. Let's just sell him. They sold this man into slavery. They went back and told his dad that some beast ate him or chewed him up. Like something killed him. They literally went, sold this man out, and then told his father that something killed him. And then later on in Joseph's life, he ends up at somebody's house, and then this woman kept trying to, do something that wasn't godly. We'll keep it PG-13. And then she goes and lies on him because he didn't actually do it. And then the man that Joseph had served upon her, that trusted him, that loved him, that Joseph didn't want to do it, and he didn't do it. And the man comes and he believes the woman, and he says, hey, you know what? Throw Joseph in prison. So now Joseph ends up in prison on something that he didn't do, and it wouldn't make sense that that person had a dream. It wouldn't make sense that Joseph has a dream because he's sold out. by his brothers. He's lied on by some woman, and now he's sitting in a jail cell. And you can look at his life and you could probably say, hey, that person probably doesn't have a dream. You can look at his circumstances and be like, oh, he probably doesn't have a dream. He probably doesn't have a vision. He's probably not trying to go somewhere. Oh, he's in bondage. Oh, he left the church. Oh, this happened or that happened. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. You don't know what God spoke to that person. You don't know what that person is trying to get to or what they're trying to go through. And guess what? At the very end, Joseph ends up being second to Pharaoh, the highest in the land. His dream came to pass, and then the same people that sold him out come up to him, and then Joseph's like, hey, you know what? I know y'all meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Bring it in. I'm not even worried about what you did to me. I'm not worried about what you did to me, or you sold me out, or you lied on me, or the Potiphar, the woman, or that they lied on. It didn't even matter anymore. Even though the circumstance may have said that, hey, he didn't have a dream, that doesn't change what God said to you whenever you're in the pit. It doesn't change what God said to you whenever you're in the cell. It doesn't change whenever somebody's lying on you. So forget the circumstance that you might be in and start focusing on the vision that God gave you. Then these little things that come into your life, it ain't nothing but a temporary thing. It ain't nothing but a little temporary thing that you'll be able to say, you know what? This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Maybe it came against me in my life. Maybe these people meant it for evil, but God's gonna make it for good. So scratch it. So scratch what people talk about. So scratch what people say about you and go and fix your eyes on the vision, because no matter what the circumstance may be, it doesn't mean that the vision ain't true. It says in Habakkuk, though the vision tarry, wait for it, because it's going to come to pass. And I want to challenge y'all with this. Who is it, if you don't have your vision, whose vision are you paired up with? Because if you're trying to run a race to a certain destination, if you don't have a certain destination, you're going to follow somebody else who has a destination. Or you may think that they have a destination and you might be following them. But this ain't Forrest Gump. You're not just going to go run for no reason. So if you don't have a destination for your life, you might end up in that same boat, following after somebody that's going to a certain destination. It might not even be a destination. They might just be living day by day, and they don't even have a vision for their life. So I challenge you to step out the boat, step out of it, and start getting something that's in your mind that you're going to go after, and stop fixing your mind on somebody else's vision. Because if you ain't following yours, you're probably following somebody else's. So that's it. Write the vision, make it plain. Get out of depressing. Change your mindset. Change the way that you view things. Set that vision in front of you. Things are going to come to pass in your life. Things are going to come against you. Circumstances are bound to change. But that dream's going to come to pass. See y'all next week.